Late Danjuma, without unknown biological parents, was said to have died owing to alleged negligence of officials of Edo State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development and his family members who ought to cater for him. It was learned that Danjuma's predicament started when relatives allegedly abandoned him in a refuse dump at the backyard of his uncle's family house before a patriotic individual took him to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development for upkeep. It was gathered that officials of the ministry returned the boy to the family house where he had earlier been maltreated, which eventually led to his death. Reacting to this development, some members of the public blamed the relatives of late Danjuma for being callous and uncompassionate to the man.
That the child is a cripple or incapable or is disabled does not mean that it's totally useless. It could be useful one way or the other, either to the family or to the society. So the society should have taken better care. It is rather unfortunate that it came through such a family.
It was a total abandonment, both from the family, the government, and from the auntie who claimed he wanted to take care of the boy.
Other respondents, however, noted that officials of the Edo State Ministry of Women Affairs should be held responsible for the death of Danjuma, alleging that the ministry failed in its responsibility of catering for the physical disability like Danjuma's. They called for a proper investigation into activities of Edo State's Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development.
I felt bad about it because they know that the house that he was treated bad, they know that that very house is not good for him. And they still take him. A good Samaritan has done his best. Why are they still taking him to the house? It's very, very wrong. I'm not happy over it.
The Ministry of Women Affairs should be blamed because they are showing responsibility to the human plight. They miss their function and they pursue money instead of pursuing the women, pursuing care for the women, children, and the vulnerables. And I will urge the governor to look into it so that ministry should be checked properly.
This boy now is already dead and the disease is outside. Indeed, the ministry, or rather the people involved in the ministry, ought to be resigned.
It is the ministry that should be blamed. The reason because it's their own aspect to have taken care of that woman, of that man, I mean to say, because from all indications, the family, they are not responsible people.
Reacting to call for her resignation, the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Blessing Gida, said the ministry cannot be held responsible for the death of Danjuma, as the ministry went out of its way to cater for him, though he was not an adolescent that ought to be catered for by the Edo State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development.
Danjuma is an adult. This ministry is responsible for children, rehabilitation of children, not adults. This ministry did all that it could to ensure that Danjuma stays. We never knew that this said woman would throw him back to the streets. It's our duty to assist him if there's no money.
At the time of this report, the late Danjuma's relative could not be reached to react to the accusation by members of the public and the Ministry of Women Affairs. Best Mbiere reporting.